Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going in Raw podcast, because Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going in Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick butt show called Steve and Larson's Going in Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night. Bye-bye.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick reminder, if you drop us some Friendo Club TV cash at the Patreon, at the Twitch subs, or at the YouTube channel memberships, you'll get my Steve notes. The only reason I mention that is because I'm sending them out right now, and I thought that was a good way to let our Twitch chatters know that you will be getting these notes very shortly. Before we get to our review of Blood and Guts, want to say thanks to everybody who hung out with us for Blood and Guts, and especially everybody who kicked in for the charity that we were doing, the charity stream that we were doing.
Yeah, Equal Justice Initiative. We have raised $800. $800. That is incredible. Thank you so much.
Our goal was the $100 that I owed you from my ill-gotten bet that this would not happen. And then it did happen, but you turned my foolhardy bet into 8 times over that amount for a wonderful charity.
Yes.
And good things happen. So
so thank you everybody who donated. It is much appreciated.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it, man. Blood and Guts. What'd you think of the Blood and the Guts? You had MJF throwing Jericho off the top of the cage after Inner Circle was forced to surrender, hoping that he wouldn't do just that.
Yeah, I mean, Inner Circle should have known better. Like, why didn't someone just go up there and try to stop him? Or like, why didn't they all just congregate under where Jericho would have fallen and caught him? I don't know.
They do that all the time anyway. That's a really good point. They do that spot all the time. Yeah.
You're faced with a situation that seems dire. You panic. Sammy, it kind of, to a certain degree, it makes sense. Sammy is the youngest member of the Inner Circle, not as experienced as all the other members. He is the one that surrendered for the Inner Circle.
Has a father-son type relationship with Jericho as well.
I was about to get to that too. Yeah,
absolutely. So it totally makes sense.
It does make sense. But overall, I thought the show was really solid. They have from time to time these
special episodes.
Like wild card finals essentially of SmackDown, whereas it was like pay-per-view lights, if you will, where the card is pretty solid. It's on cable television rather than pay-per-view. And I thought the Blood and Guts match, they did enough to differentiate it from War Games, and that's just beyond putting a roof on the cage. This felt like a fight, not a wrestling match, a fight. There was blood all over the place. Cash Wheeler was bleeding tons.
He was bleeding a lot, yeah.
Tons of blood coming out of his head. It didn't really feel so much like a wrestling match. They took apart the ring. They exposed the wood in one corner of one of the rings. Sean Spears took off one of the turnbuckles. That was used as a weapon. It felt way more like a fight as opposed to a wrestling match. And even, NXT's War Games matches at their most violent, there's still traditional wrestling moves being done. I know Tommaso Ciampa did an air raid crash, Adam Cole off the top of the cage. Air raid crash is pro wrestling move, So, despite the levels of violence in NXT's War Game matches, which is pretty violent, still feels like a wrestling match. This just felt like a fight. 2 groups of guys who can't stand each other and just want to beat the hell out of each other. It's exactly what it felt like. And it was enjoyable. It was pretty enjoyable.
This was, to me, this was exactly, I really liked it. I was very entertained by it. It was very enjoyable. In the end, when you hype something up so much, you just get these wild expectations, and I'm talking about like Eddie Guerrero versus JBL when that much blood, there was that much
Cash
blood.
Cash tried.
He had a bit for sure.
He tried to beat your expectations.
And I thought this was very entertaining. I thought that, you know, I'll give the positives first. I thought everybody obviously worked their asses off. I thought that it did come off sloppy like a fight in a good way, sloppy in a good way, although there were a couple, like, you know, sort of botchy moves here and there. You know, people were trying something. I'm not going to deduct anybody points for putting in, you know, effort, trying something that maybe is a bit ambitious and then, you know, not exactly hitting it correctly or exactly.
So long as people avoid injury on those situations, then.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought that it was, you know, it was, I guess, kind of in the end, it felt like AEW's version of War Games, you know? I seem to recall, and this is not me saying, you know, this is not just because I'm an NXT shill. NXT, I did feel like a bit more on the seat of my pants with their War Games match. So I felt like the drama, NXT is really good at drama. And I feel like AEW has a little ways to go when it comes to, and now I guess I'm diving into some of the negatives. They have a little bit of ways to go. Sometimes they have these moments that I thought that on paper, the finish to this match, Jericho climbs the cage after MJF. I don't know, I'm having a hard time talking right now. He chases MJF and he gets him in the walls, and then MJF's able to get out of that. And then he brings Jericho to the precipice, to the edge, and he's like, hey, I'm going to chuck this old man off if you don't surrender. And Sammy, like you said, the youngest guy, on paper, this is great. He surrenders. But like the camera was sort of milling about behind Sammy. There wasn't like that moment. You had 5 more minutes in the show. That moment should have been milked.
I'll say this, and this isn't an excuse. I'm just trying to come up with the reason why that might be the case. And it could be as simple as experience. WWE has been producing wrestling for television.
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is.
More than 40 years.
Yeah.
They know how to photograph these moments.
Yeah.
And while in your head, you could say, we're going to do this. In the heat of the moment, when you're trying to capture these moments live as they're happening, you get no second takes at this stuff. You know, if one camera's out of position, you miss the bit of the drama that they're obviously going for. Like, we didn't get a close up of Sammy, like him, you know, his face reacting to the idea of his father figure being tossed off the cage through the stage. You know, we don't get to see his panic. We hear it in his voice a bit. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing with reps. I'm sure with reps, the more shows AEW does, these production things where they can heighten the drama of these very specific moments, they'll start working that out. And, you know, it takes time. It takes reps.
And I wonder if there's an element of, I mean, this can't be dismissed. You know, WWE's been doing this for a very long time. Plenty of people have complaints about Kevin Dunn and his general day-to-day camera, you know, what he prefers with his cameramen, you know, all the crash zooms and all that crazy stuff, which, you know, 3 cuts in 1 second or 3 cuts for 1 punch. And yes, that is irritating stuff. But when you flip over to NXT specifically, you know, if it's Triple H or Shawn Michaels or whoever is running TV there, they know where to put the cameras always. And even if you go to, even at WrestleMania, the perfect example is the Amos New Day AJ Styles match. They knew where to have that camera every step of the way. The Sasha Bianca match is another great example of that. They knew where, and that's on main roster. They knew where to put the camera every single time. NXT is very good at putting the camera in the right spot to milk the drama. And at the end of the day, you're watching this, and I wonder if one of the things about AEW that people talk about so much is the freedom they allow their wrestlers. And I wonder if some of that carries over to, there's not that level of micromanagement where you take the good with the bad. Sometimes if you're micromanaging TV direction, you're like, hey, make sure you're getting this shot, and this shot. Whereas Tony Khan might be back there saying, hey, go out there and do the best you can. You know,
well,
I don't know.
Part of it too is, I know, I think at WWE, the producers, the agents for the matches, not only are they helping the wrestlers put the story of the match together, I think, like Road Dogg talked about this once, I think, where that's part of it. Maybe some producers do this, some don't. Maybe there's different levels of it. I don't know. But part of it too is that then they have to take what has been decided upon from the producers and talent as far as how the match is put together, what story, how the story is going to be told, and then translate that over to the production side of things so that they can make they can then put everything in place to photograph it to heighten the story. So I'm sure from the production side, whether it's Kevin Dunn or whoever he has working under him, with the producers of the matches, them working together. And then for pay-per-views and stuff, I'm sure, they, like WrestleMania, I'm sure they rehearse major spots, at least from a camera perspective, a production perspective, where they know this spot's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is where we got to be to tell this aspect of the story.
The story beat of the end, though, I thought was really fantastic. And I love that MJF tosses Jericho off anyways. And I know there might be some people. I mean, we've seen some people in our chat complain a bit about the crash pad that Jericho landed on. I have zero issue with that whatsoever. I don't want to see a 50-year-old man fall from the top of a cage onto actual corrugated steel. I'm not interested in that. I think when Shane McMahon goes off of Hell in a Cell or Kevin Owens goes off of the top of a cage and he lands on the commentator's table and there's obviously a giant air balloon under there, a crash balloon or whatever it's called, I am more than fine with that. I don't even want them doing that because that's still a foot away from disaster. And even in this case, Jericho's head was like maybe 2 feet, but like 18 inches away from one of those giant spotlights they have.
Yeah.
That's still incredibly unsafe. I'm totally fine. Could they have filmed it in a different way to maximize that and to lessen, it's just a giant crash pad? Maybe, but even with the crash pad, I was actually genuinely surprised that Jericho took that fall because it is a big fall for a guy his age to be taken regardless of what he's landing on.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I mean, is there a way? I mean, I don't know if they could have. We've seen in WWE where they have the crash pad, but it's not level with the top of the stage or whatever. So people go into it and then it's kind of obscured by shadows and whatnot. Who knows if they have what the clearance on their stage leading out to the ramp, if they could do that, who knows? But the part of it, you have to suspend your disbelief to get wrapped up to the story that's being presented to you. Whatever, the fact that we saw the crash pad, we saw the things that were covering the crash pad looked like cardboard with some sort of, corrugated steel, not adhesive, but a sticker or something essentially on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, decal.
I mean, I, the way I'm describing it, it makes it sound like it was really cheap looking. And that's not my intent.
Right.
But you see that. And if you don't allow yourself to suspend your disbelief, I guess you could pick it apart. But in terms of the grander story being told, I thought it was pretty effective.
Regardless, the man fell 30 feet or whatever.
Feet, 15,
whatever
20 feet
it was. Onto whatever he falls on.
With like an 8x4 rectangle to land on.
That ain't gonna feel good. Overall, I thought it was a pretty solid show. I thought that they hyped up to the level of it being pay-per-view quality. It was a little bit sub pay-per-view quality, but it was definitely a highlight of the run of Dynamites this year. 100%, 1,000%. We did get those final images of MJF up in the cage were worth it. I mean, he was bloody as can be. We had to desaturate entirely our thumbnail. We did the same thing with Britt Baker. I think we were safe with that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We were fine.
So we'll be good with that for the YouTube version.
Before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but also discovered that it can be extremely difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular weekly phone or video sessions, and they've made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. But we'll go ahead and dig into this real quick here. Started off with Kenny and Knack versus Mox and Kingston. My notes, by the way, for those of you getting my Steve notes, they are very, very light. Very light. Because we were doing the streaming, doing the charity stuff. Enforcer showed up. And even at that point, I was like, look, I'm here to hang out with you guys and watch this. So, I mean, basically, I've got here Kenny sneak attacked Mox to start things off. And the finish saw Kenny basically walk out on Knack. Didn't want to get involved. He ate a lariat-assisted German suplex.
Half and half.
Half and half, yeah, sorry. So, yeah, that's how that, and then he ate the pin there.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Next, they announced that Britt Baker will be taking on Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship at Double or Nothing.
That'll be a great match.
Considering Britt has been ranked number 1 for a while. They've made quite a story about it. It makes all the sense.
I got early confidence points on Britt for that match, dude.
Yeah, you'd have to think so.
Yeah.
And then they also teased an announcement later on about Kenny's opponent at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that was interesting. We'll get to that in a little bit. Before that, we had Cody versus QT Marshall of the Marshall Plan. No, I'm the Monster Factory. It's just the factory.
No,
is it the Monster Factory? It's just the factory.
No, it's just the factory now.
What's the Monster Factory? What's that? Why did we both say that?
Oh, that's the wrestling school.
Okay.
I think. Pretty sure it's a wrestling school.
Is it an energy drink? Anyways.
No, that's just Monster.
So we had plenty of Cody and QT, no selling each other shit. Arn gets tossed for when QT Marshall went outside. Arn was grinding his head against the post.
Yeah, what the heck?
That was pretty vicious right there. He got tossed. Him and his Waffle House menu got tossed. And then, the
ref let a lot go in this match. A lot.
Including QT's butt. That came out at one point. I missed it. I was getting my dinner. Were there any other?
They were pretty quick to blur it out. They blurred it out.
Okay. Well, this was taped.
Yeah. But in my mind, they had the little live thing up in my mind. I was like, oh.
Did they have the live thing even for the taped aspect of it?
I thought so.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Maybe they did it. Maybe they did it. Straight to they did the blur even. Live to tape. Maybe they did that in real time. I don't know.
Could be.
Anyways, in the end, Cody tapped out QT after he got busted open, kind of on the corner of his eye. So of course, Cody, he's like blood and guts. I'm gonna get blood first.
Yeah. They let QT kick out of a crossroads though.
That's good. That's good for him. I mean, dude, he's sort of, his faction is like a bottom level faction. So, of course, he was, this would have been the most confidence points, right?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, Cody wasn't losing to QT. But, so after QT taps, Cody, he gets up. He's bleeding a little bit from like the corner of his eye. Anthony Ogogo comes out, gut punches him. And then he has a Union Jack and drapes that over Cody as he's selling the gut punch.
Yeah, so the next guy that Cody's going to beat is a Go-Go. Cody actually might.
That's what I was going to say. QT, he's a veteran. No disrespect to QT. This is kind of his ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
I think
he's exceeded his
ceiling. If he's got like a really, he could be potentially, they could do a story where he can win the tag titles, maybe. So possible tag champ is probably his ceiling. A Go-Go, we don't know what his ceiling is quite yet. We've only seen one match of his and a couple promos. He's a young dude. They've obviously invested a good amount of time developing him as a wrestler. And yeah, I could totally see Cody. Possibly.
Oh no, I think they're interested in seeing what a Go-Go's ceiling is. And I think Cody's like, they're like, okay, well, let's look at this kid. Do you see him as, TNT champion? Cody's like, yeah, maybe. Do you see him as a tag champion? Maybe. AEW world champion? Yeah, it could be. Beats you? Whoa. Wait a second. Hold on a second.
He said, I'd sooner hand him the AEW championship than let him beat me.
Let me think about that. Okay.
Let me think about that. After that, next we got a Scorpio Sky Ethan Page interview. Scorpio Sky is talking trash about Sting, calls him Mosquito, sucking the blood out of the company.
Yeesh.
And he says, what do you do with Mosquito? You smash it.
Smash it. Oh, I hate mosquitoes.
He says, hey, Steve Borden, not you, Steve.
Yeah, why was he calling me out? What did I do? I like
he
Sky.
Says Steve Borden has overstayed his welcome, and Scorpio Sky declares that he's the franchise now.
Oh.
And then Ethan Page starts talking about Darby Allin, talks about their history. They've had plenty of matches, but no one wants to see matches that no one can see or has seen or something like that.
Can we see those on Peacock? Isn't he just talking about Evolve at that point?
Maybe. And so he starts talking about Darby's medical history. He says, you know why you wear the face paint? It's because of the dent I put in your forehead. Yeah. And he says he's responsible for a metal plate in Darby's forearm. Darby attacks him from behind, lays them both out, hits Page with a coffin drop off a ladder that was going up, I guess, to the upper deck or something of Daly's place. Sky then attacks Darby, and he and Page beat up Darby pretty good, drive Darby's face into Scorpio Sky's shoes, which had little spikes on them. And then Ethan Page tosses Darby down some stairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
rough night for Darby Allin. Next week it's gonna be rough for Darby next week too, as we found out later.
Yeah, Darby tumbled down those stairs like a pro. After that, we had the Doctor, Britt Baker, versus Julia Hart. Pretty easy win there for the Doctor. Picked up the easy win with the claw. So yeah. That was a pretty quick match there.
It was very quick. It was literally sling blade. She gets the glove from Rebel. Hart escapes the first lockjaw. Britt hits an air raid crash. Does the thing want to cover? No, not going to cover.
Oh, yeah.
Lockjaw to get the win.
Good looking sling blade, though. It always helps when the person selling it, waits a beat until the other person is already kind of on their way back down, and then they go back like that, because it's like there's more torque on it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's my little wrestling school for you. After that, we had a four-way tag match. This was Jurassic Express, SCU, Caster, and the Acclaimed. And then hold on, don't tell me. The other team was, who was the other team?
A member of the other team took the pinfall.
Who ate the pin in this? I don't know. Who was it?
It was Varsity Blonde.
Yes! Yes! I'll be honest, I don't feel too bad that I missed that. It's just the Varsity Blondes. The Dark All-Star Squad.
There's this great sequence where Luchasaurus is basically choke slamming everybody.
Oh, dude, he was wrecking everybody.
And then choke slam Griff on to Pillman, and they choke slams Kazarian out of the ring onto both of the Varsity Blonde guys.
Rough. Yeah, I remember that.
And then on the Acclaimed, each member or one of them got a DVD from Luchasaurus, and then Jungle Boy did a burning hammer on the other guy onto the other guy. I forgot who got what move. So anyways, towards the end, Jungle Boy goes up to the top rope. Christopher Daniels knocks him off his feet, crotches him over the top rope, and then he leaps off the apron, hits the diving flatliner. Pillman, for the finish, jumps off the top. Kazarian catches him, and then SCU hits a tombstone best moonsault ever combo to get that W. So, we kind of knew we were going to get SCU versus Young Bucks for the tag titles because they're going to break up SCU as a tag team. And I guess it's supposed to be more heart-wrenching if their former friends, the Young Bucks, are the ones that break them up.
You called this ages ago.
Yeah. It was pretty evident that's what's going to happen.
Well, the Young Bucks weren't bad guys at the time.
Nope.
Because he announced this ages ago. I still don't know why they're doing this. By the way, thanks everybody in Twitch chat. We're at a level 4 hype train.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Hugh Longheavy says, hey man, talk about Caster's rap. So we were jawing a little bit during the rap, but I did hear he mentioned something about Pillman and Dark Side of the Ring. I'm assuming he clears this with everybody beforehand.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
It's funny because he had one cutting line about Pillman and Dark Side of the Ring, and then he says, Luchasaurus, I'm going to make you a fossil, Which is like it's like, really? That's the best you got? That's terrible.
Anyways, after that match, they had this really great Moxley Yuji Nagata video package hyping up their IWGP US title match next week. Got a bunch of footage from New Japan of both Mox and Yuji. I'm pretty excited about this match.
Dude, I'm hyped about this. This is rad. I'm huge into this match. This will be good.
Heck yeah. I hope Yuji has the shirt where he pulls up the bottom and on the other side is his face.
He's more than a shirt, man. He's a legend.
He is a legend. I'm not saying he's just a really cool shirt.
No, I love
it is a really cool shirt.
The shirt is really cool.
He's an absolute legend. But I remember when he came out, the first Wrestle Kingdom I watched, he came out for the New Japan Rumble. I was like, oh, cool. Yuji Nagata. I remember him from WCW.
Yeah.
And he walks out and pulls the shirt over his face, and his face is on the other side of his shirt. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
I've
amazing.
never seen that before.
It's great.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. He's also got a great shirt. Speaking of great, Tony Schiavone, who is magnificent tonight through especially the Blood and Guts match. He needs to gouge him with it. He had an interview, or he had an announcement to make, and he brought out the champion, Kenny Omega. Knack had all the other titles. Kenny, of course, wearing the AEW title. Knack had the Mega Championship, and he had both TNA titles. And so he comes out. He sort of takes the slow road, or Kenny, he says, okay, blah, blah, blah. Just make your stupid announcement, Tony. So Tony's there to announce his opponent, Kenny's opponent, for Double or Nothing. And so it's going to be the top two contenders, ranked number 1 and 2, Pac and Orange Cassidy, are going to fight next week to determine who Kenny Omega will face at Double or Nothing. So Kenny and the rest of us started assuming, oh, wow, it's going to be Pac. That's kind of cool. And then Orange Cassidy comes out. Kenny takes a pretty long time. You probably have this verbatim, running down Orange Cassidy, calling him, basically a child. And this basically just sort of confirms that we're getting Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy at Double or Nothing.
Seems that way. Definitely seems that way. Yeah. So like Schiavone's saying, yeah, it's gonna be a match, and then Kenny goes on and on over Pac. It's like, hey, he's beat me. He's maybe tap out. It's like, hey, this is the match people want to see. Just make that match. And Tony says again, no, it's gonna be either Pac or Cassidy. And that's when Cassidy saunters out, and Kenny's all, Pac or who? And essentially laughs off Orange completely.
Yeah.
Takes his sunglasses from him, says, hey, you stole my sunglasses gimmick. I like the shades. Puts Orange's sunglasses on Nakazawa, and says, hey, your glasses looks better on Nakazawa anyways. He looks more like a champion. He says, I wouldn't count on this match happening. I'll see you in 10 years when you're a full-grown adult. We'll talk whenever. Maybe we'll chat wherever. So it was good. I mean, it's a couple people in chat during the stream were saying, hey, that promo alone made them want to see Orange Cassidy beat up Kenny Omega. So mission accomplished.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy is huge with the live crowds, and Double or Nothing is going to be full capacity. This is probably a smart move. Super bad guy versus super good guy. Orange Cassidy has a lot of big wins under his belt. Beat Jericho a couple times, I think. Just beat Penta, so he'll probably rack up a bunch of wins. Obviously, he's probably going to beat Pac. This promo would not have made any sense had that not been the case. So
unless the idea is that Kenny is so intent on facing Pac, someone who beat him, that he costs Orange the match, and then on TV or something they have a title match between the two of them.
Yeah, but no, I think this is great. I think it's cool. This is a pretty big spot for Orange Cassidy. It's easy to think after the Jericho thing, he had been in some underwhelming feuds. They did the Miro stuff, and I don't know, I forget what else they did, but yeah, this is cool. This is good. I mean, good opponent.
Speaking of Miro,
it's gonna be a good match.
It will be a good match. Speaking of Miro, he came out next to talk to Tony. He snatches the mic from him right away. Says, I told the world that if you got a title, you got a problem. Now that problem is here to collect. He has some papers in his back pocket. Says, here is a contract. 7 days from now, I'm challenging Darby Allin for the TNT title. There's no avoiding it. And he shows Tony the contract. Tony's like, yeah, it says here if Darby can't perform, he's got to forfeit. And Miro says, nope, there won't be a forfeit. I don't want a handout. Tells Darby to show up in 7 days. The world will find out what will happen when the man who doesn't mind dying Darby, faces a man who doesn't mind killing him, Miro.
Ouch.
Miro should totally win this match. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite shocked that they did this now as opposed to like a month from now.
That was going to be my question. You think it's too early? I mean, is that telegraphing he's going to win, he's not going to win? I mean, to me, it says, okay, to me, what happened with Darby tonight makes me think, okay, that combined with Miro next week means Darby's going to lose this thing.
Yeah. But I thought they might milk the story a little bit longer of Darby week in and week out, putting up that title, getting beat up, getting back up. Like, just last week, he had to cut corners to get the win, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like maybe they could have milked that story a little bit more, but, I'm not gonna argue against putting that title on Miro because Miro's great.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Sunday. Typically, this time of year, I'll look out my window at my back lawn and see an absolute mess. Just huge bare spots and patches of various weeds.
Yeah, mine was a mess too. But then I said to myself, Steve, it's time you get serious about your lawn care. And that's why I've turned to Sunday. You see, Sunday makes taking care of your lawn easier than ever. They take out all the guesswork and unwanted chemicals so you can grow a lush, green lawn that's better for people, pets, and of course, the planet.
All you got to do is go to Sunday.com, put in your home address, and their free lawn analysis tool creates a tailored nutrient plan based on soil and climate data. So you get all the stuff your lawn needs, nothing it doesn't.
Plus, Sunday explains exactly what you need and why you need it, which makes lawn care easy for people like me who struggle to keep their lawn looking green. All I had to do was attach the ready-to-use pouch to my hose and spray. Now, instead of taking all day to care for my lawn, I can get it done in less than 15 minutes.
So let Sunday take the guesswork out of growing a greener, more beautiful lawn this spring. Visit getsunday.com/GIR to get $20 off your custom lawn plan at checkout.
That's $20 off your custom plan at getsunday.com/GIR. And then we had our main event. The Pinnacle comes out. Were there announcements between this Miro thing and the Blood and Guts, or just go straight into Blood and Guts?
They announced what was going to happen next week, but it was UG and Mox, Young Bucks, and SCU and Darby and Miro.
Yeah. Okay. So Pinnacle came out in all white gear. They looked amazing. Tully had an amazing suit on. Inner Circle come out with black prison garb.
Jumpsuits, yep.
Jumpsuits, pretty cool. And then we were off to the races. Sammy and Cash started out. Dax.
You're going back to the revival thing where you didn't know which one was which.
I guess so.
Cash Dash. Just think that, Cash Dash.
I usually do. I honestly don't know why I wrote down Cash. There's a lot going on tonight.
It was hectic.
Usually I can tell the difference between the two of them, I'll be honest with you. I mean, some dude, I'm surprised it didn't say like, okay, Sammy starts off against Guevara. Like sometimes I'll do that.
No, I do that too.
This guy's doing this, he's fighting the same guy. That's weird.
Through the course of the show, going through my notes, I've noticed at least like 3 things where I was like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, right? That's weird.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, yeah, so Sammy and Dax start. Sammy eventually gets the upper hand. Spears comes in with a chair. Dax is the first person to get blood. At least it says here Dax has blood first, so that's good.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, that's right.
Spears lays out Sammy with a chair to the head. Ortiz is in next.
Yeah, he takes it to the Pinnacle. And then there's this cool spot where Spears and Sammy are both standing on top ropes, right where the 2 rings are touching. So they're on opposite top ropes. Ortiz throws a chair at Spears' back, and that allows Sammy to hit the Spanish Fly off the top. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cool.
Cash is in next. FTR hit assisted brainbuster on Ortiz. Spears' tosses. Sammy was just like letting himself be thrown around all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah, this is around the time when there was that weird botch that happened.
Yeah. So Spears sinks a sharpshooter on Sammy. Cash puts a gory special on Ortiz. He then, Dax then rams Ortiz into the cage and he falls. So the way the cage was put together, there was like a gap of maybe, 8 inches between the apron and the wall of the cage. It might have been 8 inches. It might have been 6. It was pretty narrow. But a couple times, the wrestlers kind of got stuck in there. Santana's in next. And then during the commercial, there's a commercial break shortly thereafter, picture-in-picture. Cash Wheeler gets busted open, and like immediately he's just pouring blood, and it didn't stop.
Yeah.
He was bleeding a ton.
A lot, yeah.
Wardlow's in next. Inner Circle circle him. Everybody except for Jericho at that point. I believe no Hager. Wardlow fends them off, tosses Sammy to the cage, powerbombs Ortiz in the cage. Hager's in next. He goes on a run, puts Dax in the ankle lock. Dax starts tapping out. However, the match actually hasn't officially begun because not everybody's in it yet. So it doesn't count.
Right. And I forgot to mention early on to establish that, because they know that we're not going to sit there and read that entire. Number one, kudos to AEW for not having the massive list of rules. Like, their rule sheet was actually pretty like conservative.
It was just one card, wasn't it?
It was one card, and it was all like double spaced. And there was like 4 rules, I think, or there was like just a couple things.
Yeah.
But to establish things in the match, they had Dax go for a pin on Sammy early on, and he's sitting there like, "Come on, somebody can." And you hear commentary say, "Well, you can't do that. It's surrender or a submission."
Yeah. So where was I? Hager's in. He goes on a run. Oh, got that. So Wardlow and Hager have a bit of a showdown. They square off for a while. MJF is in next. He goes right after Hager, and that allows Wardlow to hit Hager with a chop block. And they cut to Cash, and he's just bleeding so much. He's bleeding so much. So Pinnacle huddle up in one corner, start beating up on Santana, I believe. Jericho's in. He's the last man in. Match starts for reals now. Shortly thereafter, Jericho gets Floyd, the bat, starts clubbing members of Pinnacle with it. Spears starts climbing the interior of the cage, one of the trusses. Jericho follows and kind of chokes Spears against the structure. He escapes that. And then after that, a piece of the canvas gets peeled off during another picture-in-picture. And while that's happening, Spears is loosening one of the turnbuckles, like one of the middle turnbuckles. We come back from commercial, and there's just like a huge, like one whole corner of the ring is just exposed wood.
And it's great because while we're marveling at that, they cut to a shot of Spears, who's literally like undoing the turnbuckle in the corner, and that comes into play.
Yeah.
He starts trying to use that. Jericho gets it back. Tony whacks, I think, probably Spears with it. And Tony says something like, "Yeah, now he needs to gouge somebody with it." Tony just had the bloodlust going during this thing.
Yeah, totally. XLAX, Santana Ortiz hits pile drivers on FTR, the exposed wood. I think it was Jericho when he hits MJF with that turnbuckles when Tony said that.
And right before that, or earlier, Sammy went coast to coast, the Terminator on a chair on Spears. That was cool.
Yeah, Santana produces a fork, stabs MJF in the head with it. MJF is bleeding. Jericho's choking out Wardlow with Floyd. Inner Circle standing tall. Jericho punches MJF right where his head's bleeding. Wardlow kind of starts a bit of a comeback for Pinnacle. He lays out Hager and Sammy, and then Santana hits on the back of his knee with that turnbuckle. Inner Circle overwhelm him, and then Tully's ringside, and so he takes out Bryce Remsburg, tosses him into the barricade, gets the key, unlocks the cage. MJF escapes. He starts climbing up the cage. So Jericho gives chase, boots MJF in the face, puts him in the walls of Jericho, and MJF kind of has to hit a low blow from behind him to break it. Locks onto Fujiwara arm bar. Jericho doesn't tap, so MJF starts working over Jericho's hand and arm, slam it to the cage, biting his fingers. Puts on the arm bar again. Again, Jericho doesn't tap, so MJF releases, puts on the diamond ring, punches Jericho. Jericho gets busted open the whole time he's up on the top of the cage. He has blade in hand.
Yeah, he's ready.
So then after he busts Jericho open, he looks over the edge of the cage down to the stage and picks up Jericho and walks him over there and declares to the Inner Circle, "If you don't surrender, I'm throwing him off." And as we mentioned at the top, they probably could have milked the drama a bit more from a production standpoint. But you hear Sammy, it's like over his shoulder, you hear Sammy saying, no, don't do it. I surrender. And so Pinnacle wins. And MJF is up there milking it for a bit. And then he finally just pushes Jericho off, and Jericho falls into the stage.
So I would assume, we also forgot, before this main event, one of the announcements was made that next week, Cody will have his announcement for what his opponent's going to be at Double or Nothing. Which is I don't know. I apologize. We forgot to mention that. It's a pretty big deal.
So it's either going to be a go-go. It'll probably be a go-go.
Probably be a go-go. In which case, it's double or nothing. I don't know. I'm not going to. Low confidence points on Cody. That's what I'm going to have. Low confidence points on Cody.
Yeah, probably.
Cody's the good guy here, man. So, yeah, let's go ahead and answer some questions. Fast Eddie here in chat says, complain all you want. The end made MJF look like the best heel in the game and like $1 million. It did its job. What did he yelled something at Jericho about the spot. He said, thank you for your spot. Is that what he said?
Something like that.
Something cool. Yeah. Something cool about a spot. It's Duker Baby here on the Patreon says, Max Caster is ungodly savage during Acclaim's entrance. Where do you see him in 5 years? He'll either be if they keep him and Bowens together, the Acclaim will be former or current AEW tag champions.
Yeah.
Or he'll be having a nice run as a singles guy. I think it's kind of too early to tell what his ceiling is, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. Sad Crag with the sub says, holy crap, been subbing for a year. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Adam Beveridge here says, Monster Factory is a wrestling school. Big Show, Bam Bam, D'Lo all came through, and even recently Sheamus, Damian Priest, and Riddle.
It's a shameful thing. David Matushik. After tonight's event, what other factions should participate in the next Blood and Guts match? Well, I mean, the Elite's an obvious answer.
Yeah.
Against, I don't know if Mox put together a crew of some sort, but then that's too early. I mean, that's happening right now. So
yeah, I know.
But I mean, if the Elite stay bad guys, then maybe the Elite and maybe a year from now it'll be the Elite versus Hangman and some sort of crew. I don't know.
Could be Dark Order.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Something like that.
Scott Hawks with the sub. Thank you very much. Gary MacArthur with the sub as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thick and Rugged with some bits. I'm just trying to do something. Gifted a bunch of subs.
Cameron Bortolazzo, book your dream 4 teams of 3 Blood and Guts matches.
4 teams of 3, so more of a like the first War Games match in NXT had 3 teams, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of
3
math
teams of
going
3,
on.
I believe, right?
3 of 3. Is that what it is?
So like 4 trios essentially is what we're looking for.
4 trios. Well, best friends.
You got Kenny and the Bucks.
Kenny and the Bucks.
Best friends. Death Triangle.
Death Triangle for sure. Hangman, Silver, and Reynolds.
It's good. Thick and Rugged gifting some subs as well. Thank you so much.
Justin Rogers, do you guys see Jericho being written off for a while after this? Seems to be the case. Yeah, I think that's probably the case. He's probably going to have he's going to take a break. He's old.
Cameron Bort with some bits. Thank you. Thick and Rugged with some bits. Thank you. Oh, we had a raid earlier from Old Man Wiser.
Oh, that's nice. Well, thank you very much. Rob Conway guy is back. Says, hello again, friendos. Knowing how AEW likes to borrow aspects from WCW, what do you think of AEW bringing back Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal?
Love it.
Please, he continues, I'd personally hope it'd land on bringing back 2-time NWA champion Rob Conway and making him a deal to beat Kenny Omega for the world title. Well, thank you, Rob Conway guy.
Thank you. Haha. Church Jackson with some bits as well. Mike RTC, Kirsten gifting a sub to Old Man Wiser.
Oh, thank you, Kirsten.
Dr. Lipkid says, Kenny is an accomplished comedy wrestler, and this has been a dream match of mine since the beginning. I anticipate they'll have some great chemistry. That's true.
They should have some really good chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Rappersad, is Chris Jericho, this is a great question. Is Jericho missing Double or Nothing?
It's 3 weeks away.
It's 3 weeks away.
A little bit more. It's entirely possible he sits out the next 3 weeks and makes a surprise return at Double or Nothing. I don't think he's going to have a match, but if MJF has a match or somebody in Pinnacle has a match against somebody Inner Circle.
Is there anybody obvious for MJF right now? Wouldn't that be Jericho?
Sammy.
Sammy?
He's
the one who surrendered.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, sorry, Sammy, but MJF's getting that win too. Yep. They got a jetpack on that guy.
Hugh Longheavy says the TNT and tag title matches really feel like they should be on Double or Nothing. Kind of weird they're not. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Darby versus Miro. That should be on Double or Nothing. But the SCU versus the Young Bucks, if the Young Bucks are going to take on Mox and Kingston for the tag titles, that's a pay-per-view match.
That's a pay-per-view match. I wonder if Miro versus Darby is going to be on pay-per-view. He might lose it next week and then have the rematch. You know, it's funner for the smaller guy to be chasing anyways. I don't know. But at the same time, I don't want Miro to have. I don't really care. I'll be honest with you. I think you like Miro more than I do. You know, it's not. They did this with Brody. They gave him a short run. I think
that wasn't supposed to happen. Cody had to go shoot a TV show.
I know. I know, but they did it. Moses opposes. We kind of already answered this question, but thanks. He says if Blood and Guts is a yearly event, who do you want to see in it next year? We sort of mentioned, you know, some possibilities there already. Cameron says, another Cameron question. Felt like the match should have ended with Jericho tapping out on top of the cage. I like
the drama of how it concluded.
Yeah, I think it's taking it out of Jericho's hands I thought was pretty good. You know, protects him also. You want to protect Jericho.
Yeah. Jorge D, what are your guesses as to what? Oh, kind of answer this. Cody's huge announcement for Double or Nothing. How will he make it feel more important than the main event? All right, let's say it's not a go-go.
Okay.
Sting.
Yeah, okay.
He challenges Sting, and they do a cinematic match.
He should do the Bischoff thing where he stands in the middle of the ring and he challenges Triple H to a match.
There you go.
You know, like Bischoff challenged.
Say, let's swing this forbidden door all the way open.
Oh, man. Something I totally forgot to ask Evan during our interview. By the way, we had a really terrific interview with Evan Husney from Dark Side of the Ring. It's up on our channel right now. Really terrific time talking to him. But I know you had not seen yet the first Pillman episode of Dark Side this year. But when they introduce Eric Bischoff, guess what he's on?
Motorcycle.
Yes. And I meant to ask Evan, okay, what was the process by which Eric Bischoff ended up on a motorcycle for his intro? So you guys took your cameras all the way out to his backyard or whatever. He got on his motorcycle and he took a bunch of B-roll.
Second guess would have been garbage trucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Joe Horace saying a go-go helping his nation retake its lost colony from across the ocean.
Jimmy Thomas, when AEW goes back to touring, which venue do you want to see them use? The ECW Arena or Center Stage in Atlanta? Center Stage, because that's the WCW.
I know.
Saturday Night was filmed.
That's definitely more apropos, but that ECW Arena, man. I remember watching ECW for the first time with you and Jeff and being like, what is this?
I know.
Holy crap, you guys are crazy. Is this even legal?
I know.
It's barely legal.
Pink Frost with the sub. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pink Frost. Let's see here. Got that already.
Duckman says MJF thanked Jericho in reference to the promo where Jericho wanted everyone to thank him for coming to AEW.
Okay. Specificity is dead says, can you guys do a transgender or LGBTQIA charity stream in June next month since it's going to be Pride Month? I think that's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Maybe once we're all the way vaxxed, you can come over for a gaming charity stream. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Something to think about. Sure. Something to think about.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Let's see here. Uninvited Ghost says MJF channeling Matt Hardy to Y2J. Thank you for your spot, monkey. Terracin says, do you think Kenny Omega will go after the FTW title if he's on a title collecting run? They need to put that thing up. They already put it up against Hobbs, which I didn't remember. Put that damn title up. Put it up. You think Christian Cage he's gonna win that title, isn't he?
Oh, it's possible. He came to AEW to win a title, and he gets the FTW title.
He's gonna call it For the Work title.
There you go. Fear and Loathing, would Hook have done the same thing Sammy did if Taz was going to get thrown off the cage?
would Hook have done the same
Would he essentially
thing?
throw in the towel if his dad was about to get thrown off the cage?
No, he would have shrugged. He'd have been sitting there like this. Whatever. Be like, Dad, can I have $20? I'm gonna go to the gas station, Dad. Can I get $20?
Dang MQ, should Ring of Honor get involved with this Forbidden Door? And if so, who from there do you want to see appear in AEW?
There's one name. Brody King.
Jonathan Gresham.
Gresham's good.
He is really good.
Rhett Titus.
Oh, wow. Quoth the Raven says, so hey guys, you mentioned that a guy got sent a drawing of a check. Story about Grado. Quoth the Raven says, just FYI, any piece of paper can be a check just so long as the routing numbers and account info is on it. Elvis used to do that all the time.
I've heard that before. I just don't know. It could. So I also think that's probably up to the bank's policies themselves.
And that might have been something that was accepted in the time of Elvis. That might not be accepted these days. I don't know.
I would imagine it's because look, I used to work at the bank.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever encountered anybody with that specifically. However, I do recall hearing that any document that has that, like, you could make your own check. You could make your own check. That's why they have check vendors, because checks are just pieces of paper with that information on it, and it's a binding document between, two. But so, yeah, you can do that from what I understand, but some banks probably will not take an illustrated check.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point. Lou says, who would say no to Elvis in that situation anyways?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I just made my own check. Can I use this check to buy a peanut butter banana sandwich?
Deep fried.
Deep fried, please.
Ultra Mega Brent, could the Darby versus Miro match go to a draw next week? I guess that's a possibility. 20-minute time limit draw or TV time remaining?
So I think there's a possibility it could end up being a DQ. Maybe they rematch that at Double or Nothing. Maybe that'd piss off Miro even more. Let's see here. All right. Yoshibol says, my dad just told me someone once paid a check using his underwear.
Wow.
I want to test this out.
Routing number?
I want to test this out. I'm going to write you a check, and then you go to the bank. I'll illustrate you a check. You illustrate me a check for $1, and I'll go check it out. On your dirty chonies. Anyways, that's going to do it for us.
We're up to $835. Steve, I matched your donation. So we're up to $835 for the Equal Justice Initiative. Thank you so much to everybody who donated.
That's right.
Much appreciated.
You guys are the best.
That's so awesome. So I want to get that in there before we sign off. Felt like that's where you're going with this, so I just want to get that in there real quick.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the donations. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.